Hello, everyone, and welcome to Waxy Wednesdays with Wax Romantics. This is episode number 2. It was filmed on Tuesday, January 11th, 2022, over Zoom. In this episode, we talk about what TV shows and movies we're watching. We talk about our histories as musicians and how we came to play our specific instruments. We also review albums by Portugal the Man, OutKast, Still, Woozy, and Washed Out. And we also talk about conspiracy theories. We'll be playing a show, if you're in Fort Collins, at the Lyric Cinema on Thursday, February 10th, with some other awesome bands. So why don't you go on over to our social media platforms and look for more details there. We'll also have some exciting announcements about new music here soon. Anyways, enough from me. Let's go to the episode. I sincerely hope that you enjoy it.
Waxy Wednesdays with Wax Romantics.
Welcome to my podcast.
Nice haircut, baby.
Thank you. Just got it yesterday.
Looking real sharp. I once had my hair cut like that.
Yeah, now you look
I've
like
got it
everyone.
in a bun.
I might have a mild seizure at some point.
Cam's driving this one. Cam, you want to
Yes,
do the intro?
One sec,
Kick
guys.
it off.
I'm sorry. I want to reopen the vibe.
Oh my god.
All right, guys.
What's nice out there? Are those Christmas lights? Ooh.
No, that's a reflection.
Oh, okay.
You have Christmas lights in your bedroom?
Yeah, dude.
They're just lights
I also
now.
have a tapestry and I smoke
there's lights.
DMT in here habitually. But
That way, when you're tripping out, you can like look at that and be like, "Yeah."
You get real trippy.
all right.
All right, Cam, kick us off.
Julian, Keaton,
Fucking thing rolling.
welcome to Wax Romantics, Waxy Roro podcast, Waxy Wednesdays, episode 2. I will be driving this one after our dear Collin drove the last one. I have my handy dandy notepad prepared with today's questions and prompts. So let's get started. First of all, do you guys have albums ready?
Yeah.
Got an album
Okay.
ready.
Awesome. Well, then I guess we'll just jump right
Nice
in. We'll do
mustache, Collin.
album. Yeah, Collin, looking good.
Thanks, bro. I was waiting for you guys to notice this.
I respect it.
feel like I've been looking at it the whole time, but it just hit me that it's like that it's real and that it's there. I don't know. I thought it was part of the background or something.
It's like the 5th member of the band now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, last week, I had kind of the beard goatee sitch going on, and then I went into town for a little bit, and then my beard trimmer broke, and the rest of the beard was getting a little bit wild and unkempt, and I had no way to trim it because my beard trimmer was broken, so I shaved the mustache.
Looks good.
Thank you.
I hate
That's-
wild and unkempt beards. They're so
Well,
fucking uncool.
yours looks good, Julian, because you have facial hair everywhere. Mine comes in all patchy, so some areas get long. And all right, sorry, Cam, go ahead.
No worries.
I knew
Enjoy
my
the
mustache would be a problem. I knew it would take away a lot of attention. Yeah.
I think a fantastic subplot to this podcast series would be every episode Collin's rocking a different facial hairstyle.
The mustache is just gonna get shorter or longer and longer. Maybe I'll just like
Don't go
You can grow
shorter.
the
Don't
chops
go
out. Grow
shorter.
the chops out.
I know. Well, the problem with going shorter is you have a pretty limited amount of space before
You can only go
represent a
so
certain
short.
historical figure.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta be really gentle with that. People still remember him.
Yeah, and we're of course talking about the famous silent movie actor.
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin. Yeah,
He had
that
a
was
Hitler
the
stash.
Fucking worst.
Yeah. That shit looked clean though. He pulled it off. I wish we had the ability to pull up photos. 'Cause
Okay,
that would be.
just a quick question: did Charlie Chaplin have a Hitler stash, or did Hitler have a Charlie Chaplin
Hitler
stash.
had a Charlie Chaplin stash, technically.
Yeah, it's the latter
I
of the
think
two.
that's the way it is. So,
I-
again, Hitler just besmirching something that would otherwise be cool and trendy.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, because Hitler actually, he fought when he was in World War One. There's pictures of him. You guys know he was like a war hero, right? In World War One. Like he actually got a Medal of Valor, whatever the German equivalent of that would be. And then there's pictures back then, and he had a very nice, full, traditional mustache. And at some point, when he was kind of entering the public eye, he trimmed it into the Charlie Chaplin style. And I think it might have even been intentional.
Yeah.
To look like Charlie Chaplin.
It is
Just
entirely
because
possible.
Charlie Chaplin, just because he's just a notable figure, I'd love to know what his motivation was.
Yeah, I think, like presidents today probably get haircuts. Like Donald Trump had the Ryan Reynolds haircut.
Yeah. Okay, so now
It
I
was
just Googled
cocaine
it.
in the soda back then, so everyone was just like, I want a short mustache now.
The look, man.
Okay,
But that's
so
actually. Go ahead, keep
check
sorry.
this. He originally wanted a Bavarian mustache, which is a lot more full. You can see, and there's some war pictures of Hitler with a Bavarian mustache. But then he had superiors in the Bavarian infantry division ordered to clip his mustache down so that he could put his gas mask on properly. Anyways, so yeah. Yeah, it's all gas mask fueled.
I was worried this episode would start with us having a lengthy discussion about Hitler's mustache.
I'm sorry.
Actually,
let's move on.
That crosses the first prompt off my list, so that's okay, guys.
Oh, okay, cool. Good.
Perfect.
Actually,
You got
it's
us there. Perfect ease.
You got
Didn't even
me.
have to try.
You got me there, rather. All right, but that's actually a good transition because from the Charlie Chaplin, not from Hitler. Let's just clarify. Okay, from the Charlie Chaplin thing. My first one was, what kind of TV shows, movies are you guys watching, and or what is your favorite TV movie show, movie trilogy, whatever of all time? Like when I bring up cinema, what comes to mind? What are you guys watching these days?
You gotta name the order you want us to talk in camera, else we're gonna talk over each other.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right, let's do Collin first.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess. Oh,
God damn it. Good one, Julian. Good timing. Good comedic timing.
yes, I'm good at that.
Well, you guys know me. I'm quite a literary guy. I'm part of the intelligentsia. So I read a lot of literature and try to limit my movie watching to just the classics. So I've been reading a lot of books and watching a lot of Akira Kurosawa. But it's a modern day classic. No, I'm joking. I wanted to mention what book I'm reading right now because I'm actually reading the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood book. It's the book adaptation by Quentin Tarantino of the movie.
Nice.
And it's interesting. A lot of chapters are it's kind of like you were just reading the script of the movie. It's like the exact dialogue and it describes the background details and everything. And then other chapters, he just goes like way off into the backstories of the characters. So a lot of the book is focused on Brad Pitt's character, Cliff Booth. And it goes into like, he was like he murdered his wife. He was like a war hero in World War II and like had the most official kills of Japanese soldiers of any other American. And I'm enjoying the book. TV shows, I've been kind of jumping around with different TV shows, but I am watching a really good Italian TV show on HBO. It's called Gomorrah, and it's like about an Italian crime family in Naples.
Gomorrah sounds.
I'm just a few episodes in, but it's pretty intense.
I feel like when I try to read the book adaptations of movies, I'm just picturing Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, like for example, the whole time. Like I like to be able to build an idea of the character in my own head. And I'm just thinking about the actor the whole time when I read like those book adaptations.
That's a good point, but I actually do like picturing them in my head. Like it's kind of fun to drop a mental image of, I'm already drawing up mental images of Brad Pitt all day, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who's
But,
not?
I'll take it Julia's too
Yeah.
nearby for you to say Margot Robbie then, huh?
No. Oh, I talk about Brad Pitt with Julia all the time. I was at the gym today and I told her I'm trying to get that Brad Pitt Fight Club look / Jesus on the cross look.
That's the look. That's like the look. Once Brad Pitt took his shirt off in Fight Club, that for the first time, everyone was just like, all right, that's it.
That's what
now.
a human body can look like.
Yeah, shit.
I know. Yeah, it feels silly even saying that because like, oh, you want to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club? Like, wow, how interesting. Like, who wouldn't? That's the physique. I guess some people wouldn't. I don't know. It'd be a boring world if everyone looked like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. You need some people to look like Meatloaf some people need to look like Meatloaf in Fight Club. Anyways,
Julian?
Sorry. Hey, I wasn't done. I wanted to talk about my movie.
Go ahead. Oh no, sorry.
Can I talk about?
Yes, I'm sorry. Your tone that was my bad. That was my bad.
No, it's
so,
good.
Julian.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take up too much.
You go, Collin. You go.
So disrespectful. I'll go real quick. I just watched The French Dispatch, Wes Anderson's new movie. Masterpiece. I don't know if we've never talked about Wes Anderson. I have a feeling you guys probably like. Well, Cam, I know you like Wes Anderson, but Julian Keaton.
I love Wes Anderson.
Yeah, he's for a long time been. I've just been like loved his movies for a long time, and they're like kind of my comfort movies. Most of them are. So watching The French Dispatch has made me go back, and I've kind of just been watching Wes Anderson movies in chronological order.
All right, Julian or Keaton? Do you either one of you? Over here.
Well, I can go because mine's really quick. Honestly, I don't really watch TV. I don't have like TV per se. I have like Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff, but I don't really use it too much. A Netflix movie that I just watched that I really liked was A Futile and Stupid Gesture, which is
love that movie.
It's about the creation of the National Lampoon. That movie was excellent, honestly, so good. And Will Forte, he's beautiful.
What's the name of Will Forte's character again? The dude who created National Lampoon.
I forget, to be honest. I'd have to Google it, but
yeah, that's okay.
I feel like it was like so artfully done, but it didn't really all come together until the last 10, 15 minutes of the film, which I feel like is a perfect representation of that dude's life and like the inner workings of his mind, is that everything was so all over the place and hectic. And I mean, it came through in his writing and all the publishing, but like, I don't know, I feel like they just did such a good job of capturing like his overall essence. Whoa, Keaton. You want some supplements, boy?
Yeah, you guys like that?
Yeah.
Good.
For our audio listeners, we've been watching Keaton grow a mustache real time with the Zoom feature where you can add facial hair yourself. It actually looks pretty good. Yeah,
it looks really good. Yeah, I know. It's tracking and everything. Anyways, sorry to interrupt you, Julian.
No, you're good.
What actor plays Chevy Chase in that movie again? Remember?
The Joel McHale.
Okay, it is. I thought it was Joel McHale, which is funny because they're in Community together.
Yeah, and it's so funny too how, well, I mean, not funny. It's cool how in that film all of those like old school legendary comedians are played by actors who are very clearly influenced by those comedians, like Chevy Chase being played by Joel McHale. man, the cast was so huge, and I'm so stupid. I don't really remember who else was even in the movie, but everyone that was cast, I just felt like, whoa, that dude is just paying huge respects to this legendary comedian. As far as like shorter things, I've really just been watching a lot of like late night talk shows. I've been big on Seth Meyers. I think he's hilarious. And also Stephen Colbert. I always watch a lot of Stephen Colbert. I think it's just out of necessity. Like, I can't really have the topical news of today delivered to me unless it's with punchlines and like sarcasm and just dry deadpan humor. That's the only thing that makes it bearable these days for me.
Julian, do you want to add anything else about your movie, TV show topic?
Nah, I think,
Okay.
yeah, that pretty much does it for me. I'm trying to stay away from TV. Although, just to add as a bookend, the show
Sure.
Seinfeld, fucking, I mean, everyone knows it's good, but now that it's on Netflix again, whenever I have nothing else to watch or think about, I will put Seinfeld on and fuck all the haters, man, that say that show is like insensitive or not PC enough or whatever. It's just a laugh. It's so fucking funny.
Are you a
But
Curb fan, Julian? Curb Your Enthusiasm?
To be honest, I've never really watched too much Curb Your Enthusiasm. I know I would like it a lot, but I just don't have a way to watch it, especially not the new stuff. I don't have any of the HBO stuff.
I'm a big Seinfeld fan, but I think I like Curb more than Seinfeld, honestly.
That's what everyone always tells me, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a real
You
reason
just said
for
the
not
yes.
watching it. He says yes.
Oh man.
Keaton, what are you watching these days?
Yeah, Keaton,
I know
what about
there's
you, man?
something brilliant that you're about to say.
Other than
yeah.
hentai.
Well, hentai mostly. 85% hentai. Okay, you got me. And then I watched the second episode of The Mandalorian.
The Boba Fett show?
The Boba Fett yesterday. That shit is pretty lit. But it kind of felt like a filler episode. But I gotta say, like at least the first episode was off the chain, crazy as fuck. So I highly recommend all of that. I've been watching some really bizarre stuff because I've been kind of sick the past couple days, so I'm off a bunch of cough medicine. So I watched like these like what was it, like a couple days ago I was watching you guys know like the strategy Total War game. I watched like a reenactment where somebody had done a mod on it so it was like completely realistic. And so it was like the fog of war was on everything. And they did all these reenactments of like battles in the Napoleonic Wars and stuff like that. And that shit was wild. So I'll have to link that at some point. It's really funny too, because this game is modded out. So the audio kind of didn't work. So you're sitting there watching people just slaughter each other. And there's no audio. It's just like really happy classical music. And they're just sitting there going at it. And it's like thousands of people. So yeah. That's nothing too crazy. But yeah.
That sounds awesome. I'm going to check that out.
I'm going to forward that to you guys because it's so comical.
Dude.
I know. I do really want to watch that. Cam, what are you watching?
Man, I don't know how much Julian and Keaton knows about me. I know Collin knows. I'm like a huge film fanatic, cinema nerd. Like I love to like follow accounts on Instagram, like just fun facts, watch movies. Like I like recommendations. So I'm definitely gonna check out a lot of the stuff you guys have said. But I too, Keaton, have been watching the Book of Boba Fett. That's a good show. The bringing like, this is a small spoiler, like bringing like the Hutts back, like the Hutt twins was pretty fucking cool. I was pretty pumped when those came on. I was like, what? It's good so far.
No, people know that because even before I watched the second episode, I had seen the picture of the not Ewok, the Wookiee.
The Wookiee, yeah.
the Wookiee bounty hunter. Like that guy just fucks in general. Like
Yeah, that guy looked dope as fuck.
You guys need to look up a picture of that guy.
Yeah.
Bounty hunter Wookiee. I'm trying to find the video.
Sounds like
I'm
an
just
NFT.
picturing like Dog the Bounty Hunter
It
mixed
does.
with Chewbacca.
It does sound like an NFT.
Bounty Hunter Wookiee. Colin, I know you would like that because I know you're a Star Wars boy, but Book of Boba Fett's good. And they got like his name is Tim Morrison. He played Jango Fett in the original, and he played all the clone troopers. Like in the animated series, The Clone Wars, all of the animations for like Rex and all the clones are based off Tim Morrison. Or I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. I think he's a
Shit is lit. I just found the picture of him again. Wow.
Wow, dude, I'm weirdly turned on by this Wookiee bounty hunter. I'm looking
Yeah,
at
dude,
him.
he fucks for sure.
Yeah, no,
He
I wouldn't cross
Who?
him.
What? Why? Who comes up with this shit, man? What the fuck?
I think Jon Favreau is behind this series as well. He did The Mandalorian, and I think Jon Favreau is
Yeah,
doing
I was
this
gonna
one.
say.
Yeah, and he's just
Like,
good. He did
it's like-
Marvel shit, Star Wars shit. He's awesome.
Man. He just made me scared of Wookiees. What the hell?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you see
cool. They're
that?
like villainizing the Wookiees because I feel like every time there's this Wookiee in Star Wars, he's a good guy, and they do look like super ferocious. So like, it's cool they're making him a villain.
Yeah.
Jon Favreau's a genius.
He's a great actor and director. Oh, you still have that? Damn, that's a throwback. Wow.
Yeah.
We love to
Photo
finish the
breathing in.
podcast. The host of this episode commands it.
I'll probably pass out, and you guys won't be able to tell
That's
if I
good
pass
content.
out. I'll just be like,
Yeah, you like,
You good, Papa Wax? But let's see. So yeah, the Book of Boba Fett's like it's fun to have something to look forward to like that. I just finished watching this show called The Patriot, not the Mel Gibson movie, but it's a show called The Patriot.
the Patriot's really good, actually.
You've seen The Patriot? Yeah, The Patriot's
I've
a good
seen
show.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's a
Doesn't
good
sound
one.
like I'm as far as you, but did you guys watch the Don't Look Up movie?
I watched that one.
I did.
I liked it.
How you liked it?
Yeah, I know there's like a lot of controversy. Like it's very, very people are split on the reviews. What do you think, Julian?
I liked it too. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I wouldn't say it was like a good movie, but I liked it a lot. I like the message of it, I guess, more than I like the movie itself. Honestly, I think, and this might be like, don't cancel me for this or whatever, but I think the thing that took me out of it the most was just Jennifer Lawrence's like somewhat occurrent like freakouts where she would just be like, "Fuck!"
Oh,
like I
you
don't know.
sexist pig. You
Yeah, I know.
misogynistic bastard.
Maybe if she
Ignorant
was played,
slut.
if it was a man character, I wouldn't have minded as much. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I know. Who are we to question the decisions of Adam McKay? But he did make some
Yeah.
interesting choices with it because you guys probably saw Vice, and that's Adam McKay as well. That's like
I love
very-
that movie.
yeah, and that's a very it's comedic in a lot of parts, but very serious kind of at the same time. But he did a lot of more goofy stuff with Don't Look Up, and I thought it was going to have more of a Vice vibe. To our listeners, Keaton is just dropping a ridiculous links in the chat.
That video that Keen just says fucking gnarly. National
I'm
news.
sorry. Yeah, that is just as
Some
rowdy as it gets right there.
Is there a way to hide the notifications?
No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think Keaton's on cough medicine right now. He's drinking alcohol with it.
Yeah, it kind of
Notice
really
when
helps,
he was
really
talking
evens it
earlier,
out.
He had his hand up, and he was kind of like looking at his own hand, like it was distracting him.
Yeah, my
Who's
hands
this?
turned into birds momentarily. I'm just looking at these birds, like, no.
Cam,
Actually,
you need to wrangle us in, dude. We've barely gotten past the first segment. What are you doing, man?
I'm enjoying this, man.
That energy today it's
Pick
palpable.
it up.
All right, everyone.
No, I'm
everyone,
palped for
shut
sure.
the fuck up, everyone. Listen. This one I think should be fun to share some stories that I don't know if we've ever heard about each other. That sounded really sexual. Why did you start playing music, and what made you play the instrument you play? Like, why'd you pick your current instrument? Let's go backwards. Keaton, you start this time.
Okay. Well, I guess in this band, it just felt like more natural. It's one of you pick up the instrument that you play predominantly, but I play a lot of piano still and stuff like that, and guitar and synth and just general production stuff. So then that you just know bass because you know that stuff in a sense. So that's been helping me progress on the instrument still, even though I'm trying to practice a lot more, but I'm not like sitting there every day waking up like it's my dominant instrument, but it's really fun. So, it's just one of those things,
Nice.
But yeah. What about you, Kim?
I don't know. I feel like there was always a lot of drives, like when I was a little kid, like give me to play an instrument, and like I was always for it or whatever. But I remember like one day, like we moved into our old house, the Vajobi house, and
Vajobes,
baby, fucking legendary street name. But my folks just bought that little Yamaha Baby Grand, that little electric Baby Grand.
I think it's
and
tasty.
they were kind of like, this thing can't sit here. Like, one of you is learning how to play the piano, and I was like, all right. So I learned the piano. It was great, and now here I am. But it's been fun. The piano I've learned. I don't know. I guess when I was younger, it almost felt like I loved playing. I've always loved playing, but it felt like a chore a bit more when I was younger. Almost like going to band rehearsal and band practice, piano practice and piano rehearsal with my instructor and stuff. Yeah. And I guess I couldn't appreciate like how like therapeutic it is to play an instrument and like sit down. But now I kind of can. So it's nice to like kind of see both sides of that coin. Like it can be like a job, or like a hobby, or like therapy almost, and that's kind of fun to balance them. But yeah, I guess it was mainly my parents, and Collin had some influence playing guitar when I was a little kid and stuff. What about you, Julian?
Well, to be honest, I started playing drums when I was pretty young. It was kind of just always something I had an interest in, and I mean, like as long as I can remember, I had an interest in it. My dad's friend had a drum kit like set up in the living room of his house, and one of my first memories really is going over there and just sitting in the throne and like looking at the drums, not even playing them, but just looking at them and being like, "This is awesome. This is what I want to do." And then I mean, years went by, I would say. It was like a little kid's stupid hobby interest at first, where it was just like, I want to be a drummer. But it didn't really go away. And like, I would be banging on everything in class and grinding my teeth to like certain rhythms and just like pounding on my chest all day, every day. And my parents kind of saw that. And so when I was in second grade, they bought me a drum kit for Christmas, and it was just, that was it. There was no going back. I used to play in the basement every day after school for like hours at a time. And then when I got into middle school, I decided I wanted to learn how to read music. So I joined the band, and reading music was not my strong suit for a little while, but I mean, I practice like Keaton says, and I mean, you mentioned it too, Cam. Practicing is something you have to do consistently to get better and make progress, and that can feel like a chore. In high school, I used to get out of class at the end of the day and lock myself in the practice room until the sun went down. And that was just because I had the determination to get better at the thing that I wanted to get better at. And I didn't see any other path. I was just like, I'm going to play music. I'm going to like spend all the time that I have getting better at this. And then, I mean, once you graduate high school and you have to get a job, obviously music doesn't necessarily pay the bills. But I think the most important thing is just always finding that drive to make progress. And that doesn't mean make progress in the sense of get better at your instrument and like always be getting technically better. It just means finding new ways to remain interested in what you're doing. And lately in my, I guess I would call old age, I would say what's making me fall in love with this instrument again and just writing music and being a part of a group is just reminding myself to keep it simple and have fun. It's not always about being the best that you possibly can be at your instrument. It's just about conveying the things that you're feeling on a real level. And I think that's these days what's made me remain interested in my instrument in particular is just trying to express myself in different ways rather than just showing, hey, I know how to play my instrument well. A question I would flip onto all you guys is how would you say that like your songwriting has changed and maybe shown that over the years? I mean, me personally, I come from a musical background where I was taught that like technical chops was like the fucking most important thing. And I've kind of been in lots of groups that have showed me that playing musically doesn't always mean playing technically. So yeah, I mean, in your guys' music and in your guys' writing, do you feel like things have changed one way or the other since you started in that regard?
I recently just was like looking back at different tracks I've done, and I did a song for this kid. I think he's around your age, Cam, Lewis Turner, and that song's since blown up like over 600K on Spotify, and that was such a chill song that I wrote for him to sing over. And now we're sitting here writing like crazy energetic like indie rock type stuff. And so it's a huge progression, and it's kind of, it's based off of how we're feeling at the time, but it's also based off of we want people to have fun when they're listening to our music. And when you release stuff, it's important to like really make sure it projects the fact that you are trying to put the most into your music subjectively, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Like, is what I'm doing the best for the group, and that's like that Lewis song was like totally egoless, and that's kind of why it popped off so much.
Nice.
And I feel like that's a huge sign of musical and personal maturity is realizing how can I benefit the group is way more impactful than how do I hear myself the most in this mix, or how do I do the most in this time? It's more about what does the group need the most right now.
Mm-hmm. That's
Collin,
so true.
you've been
That's
extra quiet.
They're calling you've been quiet.
I've just been waiting to be called on.
Go.
What do you want me to talk about? Which question?
Why
did you pick up the guitar?
Yeah.
Well, so last week we mentioned Cam and my father plays guitar, and he was in a YouTube tribute band. He's always played guitar. And me being the eldest son, it was kind of just thrust upon me. Like, there was no question whether or not I play guitar. Like, when I was born, my dad bought me a little baby Taylor acoustic guitar. And then shortly after, I had like a little red Squire Strat guitar for my first electric guitar. And, my dad gave me lessons right away. And there's something like interesting about your parent playing musician. Like I didn't come to the guitar naturally when I was young. So kind of like what you guys said, it did feel like a chore a little bit. And it was like something my dad wanted me to do, which was kind of a weird way. So, you know, when I was young, I learned enough guitar to be like proficient. Like I knew all the cowboy chords and my scales and could strum some tunes, but wasn't really like interested in progressing much more than that. Like I was more interested in just running around the neighborhood and playing hockey and bullshit. And then, you know, Keaton and I have been best friends forever. And Keaton was always like a super good musician. And yeah, Keaton, I don't know if you'd call yourself classically trained. That's always how I've kind of looked at you, though, because, you know, you're a real musician. Like you did choir and band, and you're a good piano player and all that. So yeah, I was always impressed with how Keaton could play. And then we got to high school and met a few more friends who were really musical, Julian included in that. Well, Julian, I knew you in middle school. I knew you were a good musician. And we got to high school, and I think then I kind of became jealous that everyone was like really good at an instrument, and I didn't want to be like left out of that scene. And I knew it was a good way to get attention from girls. So I really started to like go back to the guitar. And I did it kind of on my own though. And, you know, at that point, like high school, I finally started like find kind of my own music that I was into. And
So that's what you were doing all that time, huh?
Yeah. And so I listened, like, you know, I discovered this, like I said, the Smiths and, you know, Johnny Marr, and became just obsessed with Johnny Marr and how he plays. And so that kind of became the style I wanted to emulate. And, you know, around that time, Keaton and I started a band in high school. And that was like my first kind of thing into writing music.
A funny like tie-in to Collin's timeline there. We had a history of rock and roll together in high school, either like freshman year or sophomore year. You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember.
And we sat next to each other.
Who is your teacher?
And I mean, fuck, I don't know. He was cool though. That class
was so cool with the
hipster
tats.
dude. Yeah, with the tats and the.
He ran for mayor. He almost got elected for mayor.
He did run for mayor, yeah.
Well,
But,
Van Tat.
yeah, anyway,
Van Tattenhove.
Shout out Van Tattenhove. That dude.
He's so cool.
That dude made music really interesting in that class. But
he did.
Yeah, I knew Collin from middle school, or I knew of Collin from middle school, but I didn't know that you played guitar until we had that class together.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned it one day. You're just like, yeah, I play the guitar. I'm in a band. And I mean, just to toot your horn, I mean, whenever someone in high school, and I was in the same boat, but whenever someone in high school said, yeah, I'm in a band, I just assumed this dude fucking sucks. Their band sucks. But the first time I saw you play after learning you play guitar, it just seemed like you'd play guitar forever. Like it seemed so natural for you.
Thanks,
your guys' songwriting, considering especially that was your first time really writing songs in a group for like 4 other people, your songwriting was so far ahead of, I mean, people years older than you. And I mean, huge shout outs obviously to Keaton too, because Keaton is just, like you said, naturally talented. He's got a natural talent with music. He understands it on a natural level. But your guys' songwriting at that time was incredible. And it just, you guys had the essence of people that had played your instruments for years and like really understood your instruments. And I still remember watching you guys play those early years and just being like, holy shit, this is what natural talent fucking looks like. And that was a high school band. I mean, obviously high school bands are one thing, but like as a jumping off point, that was pretty incredible. And I mean, Cam still talks about Savage Cabbage songs all the time. Like, you guys obviously had a pretty significant impact on a lot of people around you at that time. And yeah, it was just inspiring, just being like, wow, I didn't even know this dude played guitar and he fucking shreds. And Keaton too. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew you played music. I didn't know you were a natural talent. Like, it just was cool to see it.
Well, it's just because we started young, and I think that's so cool that you started so young, and that obviously was why you were so incredible. When we played together, me and Julian played in jazz band together. You just were like, just you knew all the charts off the bat. And yeah, me and Jared had to sit there and actually like learn, like really dig in and learn, because it's jazz is tough. And Julian, you had jazz down when we were young. So
I mean, that's just a callback to, the whole chore concept. I took drum lessons for a bit because my mom forced me to, and my drum teacher forced me to play jazz right off the bat. My first lesson was jazz, and we played jazz probably for 3 months, and I fucking hated it. Every time I sat down to practice jazz, I would wind up so upset. But then, when we came back years later to be in a jazz combo together, I was like, okay, I kind of get this a little bit, and there's no way without all those drum lessons and all that fucking angry practicing that I would have had it. And I quit band too, because Sherman didn't go easy on us, man. That shit was tough.
Yeah, you guys sweated. I mean, it was real. It definitely, it translates into your playing now, man. You have the stamina of like a freaking leopard gecko. I don't know if that's the right comparison, but yeah.
Low and slow, baby.
Oh, Collin confirmed it, so we're good. No,
well,
but
Julian, thanks for the kind words, bro. I reciprocate all that. And I remember having you being in the rock and roll history class, and I remember talking about music, and I was felt kind of embarrassed to tell you I play guitar, because I thought of you as like a much better musician than me. And like what you said, I imagined you'd probably like, in his eyes, I'm probably just like some fucking douchebag, like learning AC/DC songs in my bedroom or something.
No, but I mean, like I said, I also felt the same way about myself, because no one in high school knows anything. So I would practice for like 4 hours and then look at myself and be like, you fucking suck.
This is a good transition note into our album review session. So everyone got albums to review? Everyone ready to talk about it?
Yeah, boy.
All right, Collin and Keaton, you've led one. Julian, you want to start us out with album review?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Gives me the clear so that it doesn't seem like I'm copying anybody. Also, for anyone who isn't just listening and anyone who's watching, I'm going to be reading off of a notepad because there's just no way I'm going to be able to say this all in a linear fashion if I'm not reading off a notepad. So
I want choppy, like
phony. Fuck you.
Choppy, condensed sentences that don't flow well. Dates that we don't know what they equate.
Yeah, pretend like you're super nervous and like
August 27th.
Sweating in the
camera. Well, I wanted to keep with the theme of the album I picked last week, which is just albums that I fucking love unequivocally. I feel like what's the point in reviewing something that you don't really fully love? But I did want to change it up, and I wanted to go for like a totally different genre and a totally different time period. So I went with what I would probably say is in my top 5 favorite hip-hop albums of all time. The debut from OutKast, which is the 1994 album Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music. It came out in April of 1994, and they were going for kind of a different feel from what was mainstream hip-hop at the time. Hip-hop had taken a turn towards a more industrial and like aggressive sound overall and a less organic sound. And it was also a lot more politically and like socially charged and maybe a bit more angry. It had taken a turn for some just straight social justice. And so these guys kind of brought it back around to an album that both feels good but also makes a lot of really powerful statements. Excuse me. So kind of the reasons why I liked it at first were just because it felt so organic. And I kind of felt like in a lot of ways I hadn't really heard a lot of hip hop music from that era that was like super based in like organic instrumentation and like live instrumentation. And so I just went on the internet and did some research at the time and found out that a lot of it actually was live instrumentation. And what made it so cool was really OutKast started out as just a group of producers who got together and made a bunch of songs, made a bunch of tracks, just for the sake of making a bunch of really good hip hop tracks that had been produced really well. And they happened to find Big Boy and Andre 3000 on the back end of things, which just makes the story come together really nicely. Big Boy and Andre 3000 met when they were 16. And I mean, they grew up together in a lot of ways. They grew into men together, and they also witnessed a lot of shit together. And I mean, they just they grew up together. So what's there not to say about two homies that literally become men together? Once they met, the group of producers who what were they called? Somewhere in my notes. Anyway, they met this group of producers and they kind of just started spinning some bars randomly. Andre 3000 was just freestyling and they knew these guys had talent right away. So they signed a record deal. The original record deal was for $15,000, which by today's dollars is like nothing. I mean, I'm in DIY bands that have spent almost that just out of our own pockets on equipment and just drum sessions and stuff. So by that day's standard, it wasn't much money. It was very much considered a DIY project. It was recorded with mostly secondhand gear. But like I said before, they used a lot of really organic instruments and live instrumentation, and they tried to mix it with some more hip-hop influence like drums and percussion, which just led to a really organic feel. And then the storytelling on the album, like I say, was kind of about bringing the full Black experience, especially like the Southern Black experience, back into the picture, not just the angry, like pointing the finger at social injustice, but also reminding people that the Black experience is also a full, well-rounded experience that has a lot of ups too. So it was just a really good insight into what being Black in Atlanta was like, which honestly for mainstream hip hop, that was also a first. Hip hop wasn't really taken seriously from the South until OutKast really dropped this record. It was all about West Coast and East Coast before this. So this put the South on the map. And overall, I would just say it gave people a really positive takeaway as far as what hip hop was, because a lot of people, especially white people, had a lot of serious trepidation about hip hop, and it was scary because a lot of it was pointing the finger at white social injustice. But this album really gave white people deeper insight as to the whole Black experience, which is just, hey, we witness a lot of social injustice and we are part of a lot of social injustice, but we also have lives, we have our own culture, we do our own things, and we're overall still resilient and gonna bounce back from anything. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I would say anyone who hasn't listened to this album, if you like hip hop, you definitely should check it out. It is a production masterpiece, even by 1994 standards, by today's standards, it's still great. 1994 standards, it's a gold standard record, and all the content stands up. Andre 3000, one of the best rappers and storytellers of all time, and also introduced a lot of new rap flow and just natural storytelling and rapping, as opposed to like mechanical rapping. Just in the debut of this record, he changed a lot of the ways that people thought about how to rap. So shout out to Andre. And yeah, fucking, that's all I got. Finn.
That's awesome. I feel like when it when it comes to like the hip hop genre and like fans especially of that, especially, and like you said, Andre and OutKast are just like so idolized, like for all the right reasons too. Like, they have so many great songs. Even like my go-to like playlist, I probably have like 5 to 6 OutKast songs. I remember just like last practice or maybe 2 ago we were talking about them. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love OutKast, and I love their whole discography, but their early stuff really sticks out to me as just music that doesn't give a fuck. They just made it for themselves, about their own experiences, and anyone else that wanted to join along was welcome to, but it wasn't for anybody but those boys back down in the South. So
Yeah, great review, Julian. I just recently revisited ATLiens. I don't know why I just listened to it. And it's an amazing, I know that's not what different album, but OutKast, like the innovation there was insane. And Andre 3000 and Big Boy is incredible too, but Andre 3000 had such a way of writing. And like if you put on a song like Miss Jackson, like there's not many songs where people like freak out like that. If you put it on today still, like you put on that song and everyone's like, oh, hell yeah. And but it's such a weird, non-traditional song. Like even the track behind it, much less their rapping style and Andre's voice on it, is so unconventional. And it's insane that they could create one of the biggest phenoms of a song ever.
It turns into music that really is just about celebrating and like being fucking lively. Just as like a closing thought, I mean, I definitely mentioned it, but I feel like a big thing today with rap and hip hop is just, it's almost a competition to see who has the best producers. And I kind of do really attribute OutKast to a lot of that, because they brought production value to the hip hop conversation. People never really thought hip hop could have production value before the OutKast debut record. And then after that, it was all about who could make it sound the best, who could add the most, and who had the best drums, who had the best programming, who has the best samples. And that even continues through into today with all music. But I think hip hop drove that idea that that producers are just as important as the main contributors and songwriters. And if you don't have good producers and you don't have people who are invested in making a solid production from start to finish, you're kind of fucked, no matter how talented you might be as a writer, because a lot of really good writers, I would say, were featured on OutKast music that did not evolve into the same thing that OutKast did.
Collin or Keaton, whichever one of you guys wants to go next with your album review.
Did something a little bit more modern, still old at this point, actually 10 years old at this point. But last week I did an album from the 90s, so I thought I'd do a little bit more modern. And I chose to do In the Mountain, in the Cloud by Portugal the Man. I also own a physical copy of this on vinyl. And I've had this record for a while. It's cool because this one, last week was clear vinyl. This is white vinyl. I like white vinyl.
That's cool.
this is definitely one of my most played records. I love this album. I'll talk about the history a little bit and then talk about why I like it. But so Portugal the Man is probably a band we're all familiar with now because of Feel It Still. And there are a few other songs off of Woodstock, which is their most recent album, came out in 2018, I think. But before the massive success of Feel It Still, Portugal the Man kind of toiled in, with being a largely unknown indie rock band for a long time. They were formed in Alaska, of all places. And the first iteration of Portugal the Man was actually as a hardcore band called Anatomy of a Ghost. And that had John Gorley, who's the singer, and Zach Carruthers, who's the bass player. And I think it had, I forget his name, but John Gorley's cousin, who's now the keyboard player in the band. I think he was in Anatomy of a Ghost. I could be wrong. But anyways, at some point they moved to Portland, and changed their name to Portugal the Man. I don't know how they came up with that name, honestly. And at that point they kind of changed the music they played to and went much more like indie rock, sort of what you might call. Anyways, In the Mountain, in the Cloud is actually their 6th album, but it's their major label debut. This album was released on Atlantic Records in 2011. So at this point, all the members were they were like into their 30s, been playing together for a while, and finally got their major label release. And this album led the way to their next album that came out in 2013 called Evil Friends, which is also a fantastic album. But in a lot of ways, I like this album a little bit more. To me, it's maybe my favorite album. I would definitely say it's in my top 5 favorite albums of the 2010s. And it's largely underrated, definitely better than Feel It Still and the Woodstock album that Portugal the Man put out now. But I'll talk a little bit about the tracks. So it starts with So American, a great song. Floating, parenthetical, time is at work in my side. Then to Got It All, parenthetical, this can't be living now. Then to Senseless, then to Head as a Flame, parenthetical, cool with it. That's a song. That's probably the most popular song off of this one. And anyways, it goes on with All Your Light, and then ends, there's a few more songs, but ends with Sleep Forever. And one of my favorite things about this album is the order that these songs are in. They flow together so perfectly and so smoothly. It, in a way, almost sounds like kind of a concept album, with every song kind of like moving effortlessly into the next one. And listening back to it now, a lot of these songs are really like anthemic. And I was lucky enough a couple of years ago to see Portugal the Man play a really small show at the Fox in Boulder. And they played a lot of songs off of this album. And the entire audience.
You did that. That was cool.
Yeah, it was rad. The entire audience, we were just like belting these songs out with them. And right then I realized, like, man, a lot of these songs are just anthemic. Like, I remember singing Sleep Forever at the top of my lungs. And it was a cool moment. But yeah, I love Portugal the Man. The first, I had some friends who got me into Portugal the Man, and I remember thinking they were really weird and cool. And that was around like the Evil Friends era, so 2013. And then I went back and discovered this album. And like I said, when I bought it on vinyl, I listened to this album. It's probably up in like my top 3 most spun albums that I have on vinyl.
Nice.
But yeah, great album. I'll give it a 8.5 out of 10 Waxys, and highly recommend you go back and listen to it, especially if you've heard Feel It Still and like that song. Should go back and listen to it. We have Newt making his first guest appearance of the night. Hey, Newt,
First guest speaker of the podcast. Well, I'm gonna go back.
Yeah.
Julian, you didn't. We forgot. I totally breezed past this, Julian. Your Waxy ranking. How many Waxys do you give?
On Collin's album, I give it a 7.5 out of 10 Waxys.
What about on your own album? What about
Fuck
OutKast
you,
album?
bro. Yeah, what are you doing, Julian? No one asked you to rank my album.
Yeah, Julian. I'm happy you did.
I would definitely put Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music at like a personal 8 out of 10 Waxys.
Okay.
Which I would say for a debut record might be like the highest possible Waxy's score you could get.
Nice.
Debut records normally are
Hells yeah.
around 6 or 5 Waxys.
Yeah.
What I was leaning towards for this review was the If It's Not Nice, I Don't Know What It Is by Still Woozy. He dropped his first full length LP. Just the entire thing front to back is insane. Obviously, a lot of them were released as singles beforehand, but I mean, for somebody he's younger. He's a year older than you, Cam, so he's 21, 22, and is writing these masterpieces of hard to even categorize it genre-wise, and you can tell he's just a really good singer. I respect his vocal chops, and me and him have a super similar voice, so I've been covering some of his tracks, and the covers that I do pop off on Instagram and Spotify, or Instagram and TikTok, and I covered one of his tracks on TikTok and it got over 3,000 likes.
I saw
like
that
a
on
3-day
TikTok.
period.
Yeah,
it popped off, and and it's been helping me grow my Insta, like my TikTok and my my music pages. So it's nice, hopefully bringing some traffic to the Waxy page, because
nice.
I could so hopefully we can keep because his stuff is super relevant, and I've been trying to write some stuff in the same vibe, because that's obviously what people are liking, but at the same time it's his production is just extremely unique, and you'll notice he's using like a lot of like reversed vocals and a lot of phasers and a lot of just it's really funky at its roots. There's a lot of like auto filters and wahs, and it's very eclectic, but it's also very poppy. It's very easy listening. It's good to listen to like in any situation. So I've just been enjoying that whole record, and I can't wait to see what else he's cooking up, because he's our age, so like he has a long way to go development wise, hopefully, and so do we. So that's kind of I would give it probably just because I'm like real about it, 8 or 9 Waxys out of 10, just because I have a hard time finding any flaws in the album. The lyrics are super meaningful, just about anybody. The mixes are super good. The songwriting is super good. The singing is incredible. He's on key. He's on pitch. Like the lyrics just feel natural. The songs feel like he wrote them years ago and has been working on them forever. So it's like they feel natural to him. The delivery is incredible. You can hear all the words he's saying. You can understand, which helps you interact with the lyrics. And there's not like a lot of auto-tune. Obviously everything has auto-tune on it nowadays, but there isn't obvious auto-tune. Everything, all the effects are really tasteful, and I'd love to hear what else he's got cooking. And the music videos are hilarious. So there's that as well. But yeah.
I'm on the Woozy Spotify right now. And like what I was about to say though is like I remember maybe I think it was my sophomore year. I obviously like not saying like I discovered So Woozy, but like in like my little like Rocky friend group, like I definitely would like discovered So Woozy. And it was kind of funny to like show my friends that. So if So Woozy's listening, you're welcome to those 35 monthly listeners. But Goodie Bag totally like was like the song, man. Like in my sophomore year, like we were all bumping Goodie Bag. It was awesome. But yeah, and what was that? You can have to help me. I'm looking through this.
Yeah, Goodie Bag is on that album.
Is that the album? Okay, and the other one, Cooks, was the other one that I was listening to a lot.
Cooks is really good. All this stuff is like lo-fi, and there's like really cool it's just I don't know. And the cool part is too, the production like is really heavy in like the low and mid range and leaves the top end pretty much predominantly for his vocals, which just adds this really cool it's just, and you can kind of tell too, like he makes a lot of the beats himself.
Oh, for sure. They're goofy. They're goofy in the best way possible.
They're goofy, yeah. But he's popping off, and I'm just checking like he has a tour lined up for this next year. He's doing really well, and it just makes me happy to see artists like that do well. That just are just generally good artists. It's cool to see that happen. So, and then another, I would say, musically, since I shouted out the Velveteers last time, I'll do it again because they're going on tour with Greta Van Fleet this next year, and I was trying to find some dates. Yeah, so it's cool to see friends of ours doing so well. We need to follow that train.
Cam, what's your album?
I was also torn because like it was easier last time to choose because people were sending in that little group chat like what like you and I remember I don't remember who it was. I think Collin and maybe Keener. I don't remember which one, but you guys were doing like older albums. So this time I tried to go for the newer album, and I'm kind of cheated because I'm not exactly doing an album. This is an EP, but I was watching Portlandia the other day, and I was like, the Portlandia theme song is off the Washed Out album, Life of Leisure. So I decided to do that one. But I am cheating because it is a 6-song EP. But originally, I only knew Washed Out because of Feel It All Around. That's the Portlandia theme song. But the whole album, like I just recently I started listening to a lot, maybe like 5 or 6 months ago, and like of just the 6 songs, they're all fucking amazing, and they're all like kind of like almost seems like a combination of like because it is a 2009 album of like the early 2000s like electronic music. Like almost like slightly like Moby inspired kind of shit, but also like brings back like the 80s like softer rock kind of stuff that I thought like combined really cool. And like they have a lot of songs I can feel it all around with like the techno electronic voice that goes over like the synth kind of sounds, and like it just sounds really awesome. Like it's a nice combination of like an electronic mix up with like the rock kind of thing. And that's kind of like what made me like them a lot, because I don't know. That was really cool to see that. But just off that like 6-song EP, it introduced me to like the whole discography of Washed Out. Now I love them, and like I could see Portlandia. I just googled it a minute ago, but Portlandia came out in 2011, and that album came out in 2009. So that means in those 2 years, like that EP must have blown up a pretty good amount for a show like Portlandia to want to feature a song by Washed Out. So it's just cool to see. And like I'm sure that Portlandia had. Or like that their album or their EP grew a lot after the release of that show. But even now, like even when you go watch Portlandia, like damn, like it's great like to connect a song that I love with the show that I love. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, good show. Washed Out, good band, good review Cam.
I guess I'd give it like, because it is an EP, so I'm cheating. So we'll drop a wax on. I'll give like an 8.2 Waxys, 8.2 out of 10 Waxys.
That's a lot of Waxys.
Solid score.
I
Solid
do appreciate the EP. Yeah, I agree.
They give me Beach House vibes. You guys into Beach House?
Yeah, Space
Yeah,
Song
I
is
like Beach House.
she's Space Song a lot.
I feel like we're due. Does the Beach House still exist? Right? They didn't like say they were done, did they?
Yeah, no, I think they still do. I think they still tour. I don't know what their last album was.
I
But
feel like
yeah,
we're due for a new LP.
yeah, Depression Cherry was a very like seminal album. I feel like a lot of bands
Super good.
tried to emulate Depression Cherry after that album came out.
Absolutely, and also just the themes of it, like bringing the fucking depth and like sad boy back to mainstream.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
All right, boys. I'm gonna try to transition us because we're already reaching the mark of our time. But I know we wanted to kind of make it a tradition to end these with like a more, I don't know, like thoughtful, deeper conversation. So it took me a while. I spent like the whole last week trying to think of like what a good one was because Collin had a good one with that Buddhist passage and discussion that kind of led into like the social media aspects. So I thought this would be fun for all of us. I would like to add to like try to stray away. I'm not trying to like say talk about like political Epstein kind of shit. But my question is, what is your favorite conspiracy theory or myth or story you've heard that you genuinely believe is true? Like you are certain like this happened.
Oh, that's a good one.
Let's start with Julian then.
Well, shit. I mean, man, I don't know if I have one off the top of my head. I think not like it's a conspiracy theory, but just the idea that, you know, social media is being framed as something that is a tool for us to be expressive, but it's really something that is being used to make us all just more submissive and agreeable to just being kind of like umbrellaed into one gigantic mind-controlled population. I don't know if that really is considered a conspiracy, but like
I would definitely
I do
it.
really think it's true. And I do think we did get into it a little bit last week, the whole Elon Musk theory about, you know, having an alternate version of yourself on the internet. But I mean, I feel like it just really is something that it has escaped us at a rate faster than we realize. And like, I'm someone that uses social media frequently. I'm not going to say I don't. I'm not going to be one of those people that says I'm even trying to not. But I do just think it's having an irreversible effect on the way that we are able to process information, and it's making it easier for people to give us redacted information and versions of things rather than whole truths. And as a culture, we are becoming more submissive at a very quick rate because of how convenient it is and how easy it is. But at the same time, I can't remember the last time I had a smart, in-depth conversation with someone about like politics or social issues that didn't just either turn into a fight or, you know, was just an agreeable robot conversation because we feel the same way about stuff. I think we're not able to be challenged by opposing opinions anymore on a large scale. I think everybody is that way. And at the same time, I think we are so, as a population, okay with accepting what we view as our truth and disregarding everything else. Whereas as a population, even 15, 20 years ago, we were okay with being challenged on a regular basis, and people did regularly change their opinions and were open to learning new information and changing their beliefs based on new information. And I really do tie like pretty much all that back to social media.
I'll keep mine short. My conspiracy theory I'm going to pick is and I only picked this because it's the one I give credence to, but the JFK conspiracy theory that this.
Which one? There are a lot of JFK.
I guess conglomerate. I guess I, in a way, agree with all of them. Just that the narrative that's been fed to us is a lie. But I would go with like the Oliver Stone conspiracy that it was the CIA, and I don't know. I don't really give a shit. I just that the mob and the CIA had something to do with it, and that it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald and communists. And then, now like Trump was supposed to release the JFK files, and it's being held up in like this ridiculous bureaucratic Kafka-esque clusterfuck of mishandling, and they keep putting out stuff like, the documents need to be reviewed further. We missed this checkpoint or whatever with the documents.
The documents need to be dry cleaned.
Yeah, exactly. And like, who cares? Does anyone trust the government? Does anyone still believe that like the U.S. government is on our side and good for us?
You're right. Who at this point, who really does give a shit? Just like tell us the truth, because we give more of a shit about like being actively lied to.
Yeah, it's silly. But anyways, I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy. Obviously Bush did 9/11. Obviously the moon landing was fake. Obviously,
I don't think dolphins are necessarily even like real in this.
Yeah, birds,
dolphins.
Birds.
Did you guys see the documentary? There's a documentary on Netflix. Fuck, what's it called? I'm never gonna remember what it's called. But it's about the moon landing conspiracy and about how it's fake. And it actually
no, I haven't seen that.
I mean, I believe that the moon landing's real. Controversial opinion, I guess, but that documentary drives a really hard argument as far as the moon landing being fake. Like, there's a lot of things that make you think, like, that is weird. But, like, if we didn't put a man on the moon, like, what the fuck really have we ever done? Nothing. There's nothing we've done.
Yeah, it's true. It's like if they could fake something as grand as that, they could do they could, manipulate anything.
I have a feeling that Keaton will have a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah, Keaton, let's hear. Yeah, Keaton, you go ahead.
Oh man, I don't know if I'll have a very. Mine's along the line of Julian's, in the sense that. Excuse me. I think at the end of the day, I mean, the government, and as of recent, especially as with all the lobbying, and I mean, I was trying to look it up because I know it was like 1995. There was like a lobbying law passed that pretty much took the cap off of how much money you could give senators from private corporations, and that opened the door for corporate interests to pretty much make it so that their business is bulletproof. Financially, like companies like Monsanto creating, basically patenting life and then making it so that a local farmer next to like a commercial farm can get sued by Monsanto if any of the corn that they're planting next to the commercial corn is cross-pollinated, and ruining local farms, ruining, I don't shop at, I really don't shop at like Walmart's for that reason, just because a lot of the food there just doesn't, and nothing against people who do shop there, it's just the food there is not good for you. It causes inflammation, therefore causing cancers down the road. And you can see this trend from like the 80s where we started using all these really bad chemicals on our food, and how that's transcribed into various diseases like increased Alzheimer's, increased cancer, and it's like, well, it's kind of what people are putting in our bodies. And it's really sad to see, the really obese person in front of you at a fast food joint who is basically, they're diabetic, they're sad on the inside, they're sad on the outside. It's like, gosh, like we're doing this to people, forcing them to be in this cycle and not educating them on how to eat better.
Along the lines of the Monsanto stuff, just to take the conspiracy a step further, do you think there's like a cure to cancer out there that's being like pushed down by a group of people, possibly? I know it's a big conspiracy.
This is another, so there's cures for a lot of things. I bet it's hard to say for sure either way, but like in the kind of parallel in the fossil fuel industry, there are other ways to make electricity that don't require fossil fuels that people are just shitting on, mainly nuclear. Fossil fuel companies.
The propaganda campaign against nuclear power is insane. And it's because
that's a good point, Collin.
It's not fossil fuel. Yeah.
Yeah, my grandfather is literally he's like has his doctorate in nuclear physics or something and teaches at a university. And he has 2 kids in his class every semester because nobody wants to learn about nuclear technology. And it's like, that seems like a pretty good, but if you guys check out the movie, The Need to Grow, it's this biodome in Montana, basically, where a biodome is like this facility that literally, I'm forgetting the word now. Nope, that's a weed term. Anyway, sequesters carbon, and its negative output, supposedly negative output, is that outputs electricity. And so basically this biodome pops up in Montana and it's doing really well, and it mysteriously burns down in the middle of the night. And they basically boil it down to some foul play from the fossil fuel industry coming and burning down their perfect example of, they're able to sequester carbon and able to output electricity for free. And obviously the fossil fuel industry sees that as a huge threat.
I should have let myself go first because you guys are all the good ones. But what I don't know, one thing that
this is your segment and you didn't have a conspiracy theory prepared.
I need to plan A, B, C, and D, so we'll go plan D. Well, the one thing that I feel like is kind of like the whole fun about that is like the second a conspiracy theory is either proven or disproved, the fun and it goes away. Like the government, was it 2 years ago now, like released the UFO footage, and like no one batted a fucking eye. I guess everyone kind of knew all along there was UFOs, but like they were like the actual Air Force released their footage, legitimate, of UFOs and said the same, like UFOs are real. And then it was like, great, that's that. And it was kind of like, there goes all the fun of the conspiracy theory.
Yeah, Cam, I feel like the unceremonious nature that UFOs were revealed with was strategic in and of itself. It was just kind of like... It
was kind of buried. And after all the hype, COVID, but also like they were released like... I don't know how much you guys follow like the news cycle, but like they were released off cycle and they weren't like published by anybody major for like over 24 hours. And I think Collin mentioned it, like just with the whole JFK thing, the government like willfully hiding information or like diluting information. That's something they definitely did with that UFO footage, because they still have so many hundreds of hours of unshared footage that they can show us that are way more clear.
That kind of like leads me also to down the rabbit hole of like the whole Egyptian, all those conspiracy theories surrounding Egypt and old technology and old Earth type stuff. And something I read recently is they were able to find that the Sphinx supposedly had water damage or some sort of wind wear on it that predated it another like 100,000 years. making it, you know, like just totally throwing off anything that we think we know about what happened way back in the day. Yeah, so it's just stuff like that. I mean, we think we're really smart as a civilization, and yeah, we are to an extent, but it's like, geez, there's a lot of stuff we don't know.
Especially the older shit. Like there was obviously no way for them to document like the history and like their stories. Like it was all myth essentially, and like there's no like internet where you can just log on your story base. Yeah, like this is what happened on fucking January 11th. But I think about that a lot. Like what kind of history, like Stonehenge, the pyramids, like the shit, like the weird shit at the bottom of the ocean, all that. It's like what the fuck? Especially Stonehenge. Collin, you were always really fast when you put on glasses.
Yeah, each flashed it.
Where'd you put those on? I didn't even notice. It's like, Collin, I
I'm
remember
also showing my nipples on camera.
you've done that like 3 times this episode. Don't lie.
Yeah, I have.
It's subliminal.
It's subliminal
Yeah,
messaging.
subliminal.
Much like Stonehenge. Collin, what do you think of
Invest
Stonehenge?
in Monsanto.
Yeah, I know when we were little, I feel like you would always catch
was-
you talking about it. You like Stonehenge.
Yeah, it's got to be fake, created by the aliens. But then I've also heard Stonehenge isn't that impressive to visit. Actually, it's just kind of a bunch of fucking rocks stacked on top of other rocks. It's not even that big.
Yeah, so it's like they probably may have done it.
So guys, sorry to be a buzzkill, but I should hop off soon.
Yeah, I was thinking probably start wrapping it up here.
But Cam, great job. That was a really good episode, guys. I think, especially for it only being our second. I think in a lot of ways we surpassed the first. But Keaton, I was telling Julian and Cam before you got on, I'm almost done editing the first one, and it turned out really good, I think. So I'll send you guys.
Nice.
I'll send it to you probably tomorrow. Cam, who do you elect to drive the next one?
I don't know. Does one have a preference? Does either one of you want to go? Keaton or Julian?
I don't care.
Keaton does.
Keaton? All right, Keaton, you're up, man.
Shnikes. Okay. Yeah, we got this. I won't be late next time. I'm sorry about getting on a little bit late. It's just when your fridge breaks, man, I had to throw away all my food, and it was like and then the water, like my ice machine, dude, is like a river of water in my house, and I was like, yeah, this is sick. Hell yeah. Anyways, but I'll come with some interesting shit for next time.
Love you, dudes. Good sewed. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Love y'all.
Peace.
Waxy Wednesdays with Wax Romantics.